Librarian.
Good evening. You're watching Peer Pressure. This is a series where I, Richter Overtime, face off against a fellow content creator in a one-on-one deathmatch in the game Team Fortress 2 using the source mod MGE. Today's guest is the Librarian. How are you doing, man?
Hey, what's up?
Now, you are a fan favorite because even after I contacted you and asked you if you wanted to come on, I held a poll on my community tab on my channel with a couple of the other people who had agreed to come on, and everyone agreed that they wanted you on, which is nice.
Ooh.
That shows a community overlap. So this should be a treat for our fans or whatever. But I think it's interesting that your channel is another example, like Stellar, who came on last time, of a channel that skyrocketed popularity because of the creepy source Gmod kind of content, you know?
Yeah, it's really strange that, for such an old set of games, that it's seemingly getting all of this popularity in the past year or so.
Yeah, you want to get this on the road? Just start shooting each other?
Yeah, whatever you want.
Okay. Now, I'll admit, this episode might be a more off-kilter because I talked to Stellar a lot, so it was just more natural. I haven't actually talked to Librarian much off-camera prior to the filming of this, so sorry if it's a little bit more awkward. I might have to cut more of it out, but...
That's all right. I'm an awkward person, so it's going to make this a perfect storm of horrible.
Yeah, so you actually got, I don't know if you watched it, but you got a lot of mention at the end of the last episode because me and Stellar were talking about how jealous we were of your VR Gmod map exploration videos.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to look at a whole lot of your content yet, but I did notice you did a video on the history of the map. What is it called? Something Orange?
Yeah, CP Orange, the TF2 map.
Yeah. I'm going to watch that one later because that's a map that I actually played a lot of back in the day, back in like 2008 or whatever. It was one of the first like modded maps I'd ever seen, and it was so fascinating to me how... I guess it was kind of creepy in a way, seeing like this sort of development textured map, but you could actually play on it, and to me at the time that felt really weird. I know it's kind of standard now, but
the map is old as dirt. I think it was actually, like I said in the video, it came out before TF2 got its first bug fix.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's one of the oldest custom maps for Team Fortress 2. I think the only one that is older than it is, I think it's called CP Lazy Town or something like that.
Yeah, that was kind of my start to kind of source gaming, was when I got the Orange box for Christmas, and my first time playing TF2 was on console, so that was a horrible start. But yeah, it kind of brought me down that whole rabbit hole of, because it's weird with source games, it's not really a community based around individual games. The community is around the engine. It's kind of one big thing.
Yeah, I saw you talk about that in your that creepy feeling source engine games video, right?
Yeah, that was kind of the first one that blew me up like a year ago.
Yeah, you really broke out with that one, because I haven't even had a video break 1 million views yet, and that one brought you to like 2 million?
Something like that. It's really weird.
Really a smash hit.
Kind of. It didn't actually pick up it had like 300 views until like almost a full year after it released. So I don't know how YouTube...
Yeah, you were ahead of the curve because you did it right before the actual spooky source engine Gmod stuff actually picked up, because that's what my channel gained steam off of, was the Gmod creepy ARGs.
Yeah, I saw that. Is that...
And that's also what Stellar picked up off too.
Is that the one you have? Is that the one that has like 700k plus views?
Yeah, it's really wild.
And that's crazy because, it just goes to show that the YouTube algorithm really is showing that people have an interest in that kind of stuff right now.
I blame, maybe you could say, COVID-19 is making people nostalgic for old video games being locked in their houses. But it's also been a little bit... I think just generally there's been a resurgence in interest in source games and Valve games. Yeah,
which is odd because, there's not really a whole lot going on with Source right now, except for maybe the release of Half-Life Alyx. So it's weird that...
And that was over a year ago, so...
Oh, yeah. So it's kind of strange to me that this is all just kind of happening now.
Yeah, and That's actually one thing I was meaning to ask. Hopefully, it's not too rude. Is how old are you? Because I noticed your channel is from like 2013 or so, and you've got a lot of older content. And you said you're a TF2 veteran. You haven't played in like 10 years, so I wanted to ask. And what got you into these games and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I am 26. So I was so I was about your age when I started doing the librarian thing.
Okay.
And it's it's weird because I got into this around 2008, so it was like right after the Orange Box came out. It was mostly because I got addicted to Portal. Uh,
Portal's a great game. It's a great game.
yeah, it is a great game, and it's a great thing to get started on as far as like creepy content goes, because that game was the first one that I feel like kind of codified the nightmare fuel and made it an actual part of the game. I feel like that one really embraced the inherent creepiness.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely. It was a goofy sci-fi puzzle with a layer of sci-fi horror underneath the polish.
Right, which is something that Valve, I think, has always been really good at. Like, it was there in Half-Life 2, but I think in Portal 2, people kind of noticed it more.
I got a question. You seem to have not just a knack for horror video games or themes of horror or creepiness in video games, but just for like horror in general. Because I noticed a lot of your older uploads are like creepy videos, creepy images, that kind of thing. So what sparked your love for horror as a genre?
I've been into this stuff even since I was like 3 and 4 years old, taking books about all ghosts and hauntings and stuff out of the library. But the way I started doing the librarian thing was actually even older than this channel, which is I was originally active on 4chan's X board, and I would take kind of all the images, all the stories that people were telling, and I would compile them all, and every Halloween I would post them for I would put them all up for download in one convenient archive, which is how I got the librarian name.
Oh, well, that's cool.
So I've always been doing this stuff. This stuff has kind of dominated my life.
And it's kind of cool that you're now. I assume you're making a living off of it, or at least a decent amount of money.
A decent amount, certainly. Not. It's not to the point where I could just not work at all. Like, I'm not making as much as some people might think. But it's nice extra money.
Yeah, I imagine. So you played TF2 a very long time ago, and so I want to ask, because you were more cognizant of the game's status back then than I was, because I was like 6. And I want to ask, what do you think, like your take on the changes that have been done to TF2 in that time since you've been on like a hiatus?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I noticed when I came in is that the menu is completely different, so it's a lot of changes. I couldn't even keep up with it all because I don't remember too well what it was like then. Because even then, I'm hardly a TF2 veteran. I was never much good at it, and even when I played, I was mostly 24-hour 2 for it. So it's not really a great way to get.
That's the best way to experience it. That's the best way to experience TF2 is 24-hour 2 for it.
I agree. I agree. It's just I'm sure I would be considered a casual noob.
Yeah. I don't know. You got a classic. What is that hat called? I forgot. It's a really old hat, so it shows that you're not lying about being an older player.
Oh yeah, everything in my inventory is vintage. I don't know what causes it to get that tag, but hang on, let me see what it's called. It's called the Sergeant's Drill hat. Yeah, I equipped it just because of Arlie Ermy and a Full Metal Jacket. I wanted to be him.
Yeah, it's got to be at least like before 2012 or so, if I had to guess.
Oh, definitely. If it's in my inventory, definitely.
Okay. So another question is now you take an interest in like Gary's Mod horror and that kind of thing, but do you like, what other like Valve games do you like? Do you have an interest in like Half-Life 2 as a series too, or is it just like the Gary's Mod horror element?
Oh yeah, it's mostly Gary's Mod, but I do think it's something that's inherent to the engine. It's I probably own every Valve game, which isn't saying much because they've all been like free or $1 at some point. But I'm increasingly interested in the lore of Half-Life 2. I just watched somebody's video that was recommended to me. It was titled like "Just How Bad Is the Combine" or something like that.
Oh yeah, I think that's by Leadhead. He makes some good videos.
Yeah, and that really, I just watched that the other day, and it really made me kind of appreciate the storytelling that's gone into Half-Life 2's world, because I was never as attentive to that as I probably should have been.
It's a good series. It's a good series. It's got a great I wouldn't say I wouldn't call Half-Life 2 the best FPS of all time, but I would say it's probably my favorite narrative FPS, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I certainly see what you mean, and especially for 2004. I mean, it's so unlike anything else that existed at the time.
You know, it's actually interesting because nowadays there's a big wave of people who complain that Half-Life 2 has too many scripted sequences. But I was reading older reviews of Half-Life 2, like from game magazines and that kind of thing, and there were a lot of people who complained and said that the lack of cutscenes, the lack of cutaway cutscenes that take away control of the player was like a relic of a stubborn design choice by Valve, and that the game would have been better with actual cutscenes. So it's kind of funny to see how, you know, back then people were mad that it didn't have real cutscenes, and now people are saying that the scripted sequences were too cutscene-y, you know?
Oh yeah, because that comes from a time when, you know, cutscenes. It used to be. There's been a weird inversion when it comes to cutscenes, where it used to be the cutscenes would look better than the game, and now stuff that's rendered in engine usually looks better than the pre-rendered cutscenes. So back then, I guess it would have been seen as the more futuristic way to go. I suppose not having cutscenes almost seems cheap in a way. Like, oh, you're doing it in engine. You're not hiring artists to make these pre-rendered cutscenes.
That's an interesting way to think about it.
I can definitely see what they mean.
Yeah. So, do you think there's a ghost in RP Downtown V2? That's the real question.
Oh, I don't know. I'm sure. Like, obviously, it's been modded in at various points. For the most part, I think people like to make up stories, and to be honest, I'm happy to encourage those stories. There's always been secrets in games that have evolved around the unnerving feeling of abandoned single-player games, especially old multiplayer spaces. I mean, that's always been around. Even back in the 90s when I was playing, like, Lego Island, people talked about, like, a ghost that would appear if you, like, stayed out at a certain time or whatever. So, you know, I don't think there's really a ghost on RP Downtown V2 beyond the mods. However, if someone were to ask me, I would never give a straight no.
So here's another question.
I would let them think that.
Actually, were you the one who did the video about RP Downtown? That I might be confusing you with Stellar. That might be poor hosting on my behalf.
Oh, I don't know. I've talked about it. You'd have to be more specific.
Okay, never mind. But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, the rumors of ghosts on RP Downtown. If that's what you mean.
Yeah, definitely. So my question that I wanted to ask is, I believe the entire rumor of there being a ghost on that map comes from a story, I don't know if it's true, that the creator of the map committed suicide. So do you think it's in bad taste for people to make, you know, spooky online urban legend kind of stories out of a person's real death? Do you think that's in bad taste?
Yeah, I really kind of do, because to me, to me, horror is supposed to be comfortable. It is supposed to be fun. Obviously, there's different ways to do that, and that's not an absolute. But I think when it comes to making a scary story out of someone who actually died, I do find that to be in bad taste. Like, for example, to give a local example, around near me, just a couple towns over, is the Amityville Horror.
Yeah.
You know, that's a story about a real, like, total family annihilation that has spawned, like, an entire, like, media franchise that, I don't know, something that has always just rubbed me the wrong way about stories like that, about kind of making a real murder into a fictional story.
Yeah, I do find it a little crass. I don't think it's... Well, there's another map, I think it's called GM Shambles, where the creator died in I want to say he died in a car crash, unfortunately. Very, very tragic. And ever since he died, there's been, like, brewing kind of talk about, ooh, what if he haunts the map? But I just kind of find it in poor taste. I get the allure, but I think if you want to do the story of like, oh well, the guy who died now haunts the map, it should probably be, a fictional story. Make a map and then say it was created by XYZ who doesn't exist, rather than play off the real death. The real tragic death. I mean, the guy had family members.
Yeah.
Would his family members really want him memorialized as the RP downtown ghost? I mean,
yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking, and I think we're on the same page when it comes to that. I am the worst scout. Yeah, I think I agree with you. If it's a fake story, like if you want to just take a map that people already think is creepy and then be like, I heard the creator of this map killed himself, and like I think that's fine. As for RP Downtown V2, it's always difficult to verify whether the claims are true. As far as I can tell, the one about the RP Downtown creator is true. But again, it's hard to know for sure.
Yeah, I get that. So, I'm very jealous of your exploring maps in VR series, because that's an idea I've had for like 5 years, and you're living out my dreams.
Oh yeah, it's
Is it fun?
It's a little bit difficult. Yeah, it's fun. It definitely. I feel like I can't. Some people have like accused me of like faking my reactions and stuff, and I'm not. It's just I always, that's why I always stop and take a minute in each one to try and explain to people that. Oh, you have a frying pan. I think was that a Left 4 Dead 2 thing?
Yeah, no one remembers that anymore.
Yeah.
No one remembers there's a Left 4 Dead 2 item.
But yeah, it's sorry, I got distracted.
All good.
Yeah, what were we talking about? I get distracted so
we
easily.
were talking about we were just talking about real user deaths of people who've made maps.
Oh yeah, so
and I think I asked something about a map. I forgot to.
All right, all right, gang, let's split up and look for clues. The mystery of what we were talking about.
Ooh. All right.
I got so hung up on the Left 4 Dead frying pan.
Yeah. So we could talk about just generally Gmod maps. Like, what do you find? Oh no, we were talking about your VR series.
Oh right. Yeah. I always have to take a moment in those videos to stop and explain to people, like, all right, guys, I know my reactions like seem over the top, especially since like the built-in index mic like picks up all the breathing. So like it hears when I'm breathing heavier, and I feel like it sounds like overindulgent on my part, like I'm playing it up. But it's I have to stop and explain to people, like, when you look around and it's like you're actually there, it's a whole other thing. It's like, I don't know if you've seen, but I do like real urban exploration videos on my channel.
I have not seen that. That's very interesting.
Yeah. I find those, when I'm recording those, I find that way less scary than like RP Asheville.
Really?
Yeah, because
why is that?
I don't know. It's like I feel like in real life, I feel like, okay, nothing is going to happen. In Gmod, I don't know what's going to happen.
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah. Like, I rarely feel in danger when exploring, but I feel like I might get jump scared by who even knows what in Gary's mod.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense in a way. I mean, you could say the threat of urban exploring is more tangible, more real than the threat of a jump scare, but
it's more tangible.
Whether that be running into like a homeless guy or getting arrested.
Yeah,
getting asbestos in your system.
Well, I wear a respirator. I'm more worried about getting caught than other people, but it's yeah, you're right. The threat is more tangible. Obviously I can't really get hurt in VR. I could get hurt really exploring, but I'm not
gonna... The last time I played anything in VR... Okay, we can go demo, by the way.
Okay.
The last time I played something in VR, I played Half-Life Alyx, and I punched my ceiling because I was trying to grab something off the top of a shelf.
Oh, yeah. It's
I guess there is a way
like
you could hurt yourself in VR, but...
Oh, yeah. I've actually done the exact same thing. I've punched my ceiling fan and, like, dislodged the light.
It's not impossible to hurt yourself in VR. It's just, a little harder.
Less likely, but I'm more concerned about that jump scare,
Yeah, I mean, well, nothing... Usually when you're urban exploring, nothing's gonna jump out at you. You know,
Yeah.
you don't have a real reason to be super on edge that something might happen. But if you're exploring now with the downtown RP maps, I guess maybe I wouldn't be super scared of those. But you've also explored some other maps that do have some freaky stuff in them. So I get
Yeah,
it.
and people are usually yelling at me because I miss all of it. But like I just recently played.
It's probably hard. It's probably hard in VR. Now, I have a question. Do you do it standing up or sitting down?
I do it room scale, which is a challenge because my room is not big enough for that. I had to lie when you set up the boundaries. I had to lie because otherwise it wouldn't let me do it.
Really?
Yeah, I had to like kind of cheat and like hover my hand over the table when I was drawing the boundaries.
I'm not super familiar, but room scale means basically you move around.
Right, it's when you stand in the middle of the room and you have your full like range of movement. It's standing and you can walk around.
Okay.
But I don't have room to walk very far.
So do you use like a joystick, like the Steam controller or whatever?
Yeah, I use the index controller now.
Have you played Half-Life, Alyx?
I am currently in the middle of a playthrough. Some people asked me to play it on the channel. I ended up not doing it because I felt like it wasn't really horror, but there's some parts that I certainly wish I was recording for.
Oh, like Jeff?
I have not reached Jeff yet, but people have told me that just to watch out for Jeff. So I'm looking forward to that.
You should definitely record yourself playing the Jeff chapter. That would be perfect for your channel.
Okay, so just for just non-spoiler hint then, I'm currently up to the part where you have to fight two of the lightning dogs in the basement.
Yeah?
So I'm at that part right now where after I just got the machine guns. So like at what point will I know when I'm about to get Jeff so I can start recording?
I believe the chapter is called Jeff. And you run into this this guy who basically warns you.
Okay.
I think he even says look out for Jeff, so you'll know that like that's when that chapter's about to start.
Okay.
Though I'll admit I only played the game once, so my memory isn't the best. But yeah, it's just interesting to see such a huge rise in creepy source game creators this year. Between me, you, Stellar, even just
Yeah.
I think there's also just been more generally a rise in source game creators or people who make videos about Half-Life or Team Fortress 2. It seems like it's experiencing a weird second wave, which is also really weird, given that neither TF2 nor Half-Life receive a particular amount of attention from their developers. There's not a lot going on in those communities, but they just seem to be popular. I think they have a place in people's heart.
Oh yeah, definitely, and it's really strange because I mean, you're 18, you're playing TF2. I mean, that's the kind of thing. I was playing TF2 when I was like 16, and kids these days they still play Half-Life 2. It's kind of weird how, it used to be like every generation had their games, but now I feel like, in addition to their own games, certain ones have stood the test of time and are still played today. Like kids now still know what Gary's Mod is.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I wanted to ask your thoughts about S&box. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's Gary Newman's like sort of successor to Gary's Mod, right?
Yeah. What are your thoughts about that?
I haven't looked too much into it. Like I mean, obviously I'm excited for it. I hear it's going to have like inbuilt VR support. It's going to be Source 2. Is that all true?
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I've heard it might potentially have support for level streaming, which means you could have really big maps. Like, I saw somebody ported the entirety of Liberty City from GTA 3 into S&box as one map, and that makes me excited because, I mean, imagine like Dark RP on a big fucking map like that.
Oh yeah, wait, do people already have S&box?
So I believe that if you're someone who makes mods on the Gmod workshop, you can apply to get a build of it, and then there's also a leaked build going around. That's my understanding, but it's not publicly available yet.
Okay, but it is getting along. It's not just like a thought anymore.
Yeah, it's a tangible. There's builds of it. You can play it if you have the know-how to get a copy of it, which I actually don't. I haven't been able to play it yet, but I know that people have gotten their hands on it. I have a couple of friends who played it, so.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I'm definitely excited for it. Hopefully, it's as versatile as Gary's mod was, but I think it's gonna something like that. You know, for as established as Gary's mod is, and how everyone has it, because everyone has the base games that are required. I feel like, you know, either there will be a split in the source community when that happens, or more likely, you know, Gary's mod will just remain the more popular.
See, I think people are going to get into S&box and they're going to mod it to look more like Gmod.
I think you're right.
I think when they get their workshop working for S&box, the first week the #1 mod is going to be replacing the little pistol fizz gun with the Gmod fizz gun. So I'm getting some frame dips. I really need to figure that out.
Yeah, so am I, actually. But yeah, I think, you know what? I think you're actually right. I think that's exactly what's going to happen.
You'll see like the Mossman and G-Man player models. Those will be really popular.
Oh yeah, we're definitely going to get the Kleiner again with the fizz gun coming out of his crotch. I don't know if you remember those.
Oh yeah, I definitely do. I definitely do. The thing is, I don't think S&box will ever make way to something as just like goofy but lovable as like War of the Servers, if you know what that is.
Oh my god! Hang on, wait. You're unlocking some deep memories. That was that. It's like over an hour-long machinima, right? And it was like War of the Worlds. But oh my god, is that still on YouTube?
Yes, it is. It's like an hour. Unfortunately, I think some of the people who worked on it have passed away. But
oh, that sucks.
I mean, it's like 2008 or 2009. It's to be expected, but
I totally remember that. Thank you for reminding me that that exists.
Did you watch that back when it came out?
It might have been like a year or two old when I watched it, but I definitely watched it back in the day.
It's a classic piece of Gary's mod media.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that stuff like that...
I would put it up there with like the Elliot Goes to School series and that kind of thing.
I actually do not know that.
Or Team Fabulous 2, if you know that.
Nope.
The Elliot...
Yeah.
Or Kideo706... That channel's old uploads that were all very nice, comfy machinimas. Fortunately, I believe he passed away in 2015 due to leukemia. It was a really, really big thing back in the day. People were really, really distraught over that. It was very sad. I think he was just like a teenager.
Oh, wow.
Didn't mean to ruin the mood there, but you just got me thinking about that.
No, it's the train of thought when you talk about this stuff. It just sucks because it seems like such a high percentage, you know? Like, it seems like every content creator we brought up, you know?
Yeah. We can do another Soldier one or another Scout one if you want, or we could just wrap this up.
Whatever you feel like. If you feel like this has run its course, then we can end it, or if you want to do one more.
It's entirely up to you. It's entirely up to you. You're the guest.
Doesn't matter to me.
You're the guest.
You're
the guest. Make the choice.
Don't look to me for decisiveness.
Okay. Well, I think we could call it, but I want to say thank you for coming on. It was really nice of you to answer my Discord DM, even though you're like a way bigger YouTuber than me. You're so much more awesome and cool.
Oh, I'm not way bigger. It's, you know, you've made only a handful of videos, and you're already about equal to me in terms of count. So I definitely think you're going to take off.
I don't know, maybe.
But you know, the algorithm works in mysterious ways.
I think you've got a great thing going for you. I think you've got an audience that'll really follow you anywhere. You've got like the VR, the scary stuff. You really like the scary stuff, and that's good because that means that you aren't going to be trapped into doing scary stuff. You're just going to want to keep doing scary stuff.
Yeah.
Versus me, I made like a Gmod ARG video, and I like that kind of material, but I also like doing a lot more than just that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I really, so this is my advice to you, because this is something that I've been enforcing on my own channel, because I had my second big blow up when I kind of started doing like Gmod horror maps and stuff a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And, you know, ever since then, I've been very, even though the Gmod videos are the ones that get the views, I've been very insistent on still doing the readings, still doing a couple of essays here and there or other games. And that's because I don't want to get pigeonholed in that way. So my advice to you would be to do kind of a one for you, one for them sort of thing, where maybe you'll talk about the things that get views in one video, talk about something you want to talk about in another one. because I'm really interested. Like I said, the video of yours that I'm most interested in watching now is the one on, what is it called? CP Orange?
CP Orange, yeah.
Yeah. I really want to watch that because that's the kind of content that there's not as much as I'd like. You're doing kind of the internet historian thing with that. I mean,
I suppose.
you know, I saw that thumbnail and I didn't even remember the name of the map, but I saw the thumbnail and I was like, oh, I got to watch this because
I think it's a really
it
good
immediately
thumbnail.
hit me in the nostalgia.
I think it's a really good
great
thumbnail.
thumbnail.
Yeah, it looks like the TF2 map loading screen too. I was really proud of how that thumbnail came out.
Yeah, it does.
All right, well, thanks
great.
for actually wait before I send you off. What do you need to plug? And also just tell everyone about yourself if they watched this without knowing who you were.
I don't know. I guess just link my channel in the description. I don't even know my own name.
Oh, okay. All right, well here, I guess I'm gonna make this a tradition. Come give me a high five and we'll end it there. Thanks for coming on, man.
Okay, I don't remember what.
Just taunt, press G. I think it's G. Thanks for coming on, man. That was great.